Hi Facebook, I'm Erie Times-News online reporter Sarah Grabski. We are here today at the BrewErie at Union Station with owner Chris Sirianni here. We are doing some exciting stuff today. We are actually doing a live virtual haunted history tour. So Chris, tell us first just a little bit about the tours, how long you guys have been doing them, and what they offer.
Yeah, so we're in our 12th year of tours, Sarah, and really excited. Unfortunately for all the viewers out there in Facebook Nation,
sold out.
Yes, they sell out really quick. They go on sale in September. The month sells out pretty quickly. It's a very popular event, and we're on Wednesdays and Friday nights, and it's a haunted history tour. So, folks, what that means is we talk about the very rich history of Union Station, and we also dive into some of the backstories, some of the urban legends, mysterious deaths, tragic events that happen in around the station over the course of the last 90 plus years or so. So it ties in the past and the paranormal, and people just really get into it. So really excited to do an offer.
Yes. So tell us, you guys have even added tours. I mean, like, if somebody really wants to come next year, what do you suggest?
Yeah, so
check it back.
Yeah, we do a dozen tours private and then publicly also in the month of October. We did add a few years back halfway to Halloween. So we celebrate Halloween in April too. So if you missed out this October, keep an eye out in March. We'll have those tickets going up for sale and available second half of March. We'll be running tours, same thing, Wednesday and Thursday night. It's a great time. It's super cool to watch people come in, hear the stories, and then sit and have a drink or dinner, and go around tables, talk to people, and kind of get their temperature and feel what's going on. And,
right.
And it seems to be something that's been very successful for us in the community.
And it's affordable. It's what, $15-20 a ticket?
It's $15.
So
and for 2-hour tour, it's well worth it.
Right. Okay, so let's dive into the good stuff. Let's talk about, so we're standing in, one of the most historic buildings in Erie. Tell us a little bit about just the building in general and the history you know about this.
Okay, so real briefly, just about the building itself. It opened its doors to the public on December 3rd of 1927, and we are standing in the rotunda, which was the main waiting room for the building. And if you look around, up top across the marble, towards the top of the room, the dome, you can see everything is intact of what it was, and same descriptions from the waiting room. Over here behind us, you have the ticket window where the kitchen is now. It's all sealed up, but if you look down here, you can also see the windows where they were. The brass bars are still there, along with the pieces of luggage on those rails. And if you remember, or if you can remember, before our luggage all had wheels on them.
Yeah, that's right.
Unfortunately, to carry them around. So instead of putting on the ground in a very grand station, and this was a grand station at the time, first of its kind in the United States, first Art Deco station, and very state-of-the-art, very prestigious place when it opened up. You didn't want to put your luggage on the ground, so they had little rails underneath the ticket window where you could set your luggage. Well, the first urban legend I'll share with you guys, and the most popular around town and in the building, revolves around a young girl by the name of Clara. And as the story goes, a young couple were here with their daughter Clara and ready to get on a train, and they were getting their tickets, and father gets his tickets, pick up his luggage off the rails here, and heads up the back stairway. As the father gets to the top of the stairwell, which you'll see in a moment is very steep, he turns around to check on Clara and inadvertently strikes Clara with his luggage. She falls backwards, dies at the foot of the stairwell right in front of us here. So,
you want to go check it out?
Yeah, let's go take a look at it.
Because this is kind of a creepy, and that's like Clara is like your goat, like the brewery ghost, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a darling around here, and there's a great image of her right here, or what we portray as an image.
Okay.
So you can take a good look at her. This is the stairwell to right behind me in this image, and that's what we think she would have looked like.
Yeah.
And Apparition Amber, we named after her in honor of her, one of the most popular beers, especially this time of year, folks. We sell a lot of amber, especially people go on tours. They want to have an Apparition Amber for Claire while they're walking around. So this is where the urban legend kind of revolves around, and it's interesting because, like any urban legend, there's always like slivers of truth.
Yeah, right.
And it just grows and evolves, and it becomes its own legend.
So like weird stuff happening?
Yeah, so
okay.
I will tell you, we have a lot of articles and, stories of people dying in and around the building.
Right.
We can't find anything on Clara, but there was at one point a lady who's a little bit older than her, who died up trackside right above us by the door, named Clara.
Oh.
So things evolve and
maybe
change over the course of a century. So, we're not sure, but we do know, here's what we do know. A lot of weird things go on around here. And I'll tell you folks, I start every tour with a disclaimer. I was born and raised Catholic, and I believe there was a God and a devil and heaven and hell. I think we all have a soul. I hope you and I have a soul and it goes somewhere someday. Never thought it had, would stay around and hang around for any reason. I thought it had a final destination and it went there. So, but I will say after a dozen years in here, I've seen and heard crazy stuff. I was warned about a lot of these things when we went to open up, things that happen back here. And I never really bought into a whole lot of it, guys. Things, we're in an old building, and things rattle, semi-trains still go by a day. So the place does rattle. So if we're, on the tour the next 20 minutes and, you hear something or the lights, flicker, something like that, I always say, it's a train from the vibration. Same thing with the acoustics. It's a rough building acoustically. So, a compressor kicks on at the end of the building, even up on the roof. On a quiet morning, a very tranquil night. Sometimes it echoes and, it sounds like you're down here.
Yeah. So even talking to you, I can hear our echo. And
there's this crazy reverb in this building, and it's very cavernous. But things happen. So I kind of, discounted all those things. But I will say other things start happening to me, out in here in particular that you can't explain. One of the funny things, we tell this, and it's happened to many staff, and people before me warned me about it when we were rolling. Ready to open up our doors, they said, hey, in that building, when you walk out of the Clara stairwell, wait and see what happens. So any time I walk out of here, I can be trotting along, and then I get a physical sensation, like a little kid sticking their foot out in front of you. Ooh. And you get it on the shins. You feel it. You're like, ooh, what was that?
Right.
Yeah, and you usually stumble, and then you look around, make sure nobody saw you because you're like a fool. And so, that was one of the things that started happening. It still happens to me. Yeah. So it's a fun little kid trick. And, things just continue. Over in the ladies' room, we've had employees have their name called by young girls' voices, even there's not another female on staff. Oh. That's always an interesting one. Men's room, you'll be in there, and all of a sudden you hear the water turn on, and you're the only one in there, and you go around and look at the hand washing station. Water's running. We've had many dozens of ghost hunters come in from all over the East Coast to do studies and investigations here. And one thing they like to do in the little, we're not going to get to unfortunately today, but over in the barbershop area, the original barbershop of the building, they'll put one of these little LED flashlights on the table, and they'll say, is anybody here? Can you turn on the flashlight? On goes the flashlight. Can you turn it off? Off goes the flashlight. So stuff like that I did not buy. I was not a believer in ghosts when we got in here, and people ask every day, customers and folks that come in.
Haunted? Yeah.
And I don't have an answer, guys. I guess my creed is I believe in something.
Right.
I don't know what it is. You can call it a ghost or paranormal activity or spirits. I just think it's like an energy. It doesn't create or destroy. It just exists and perpetual and tied to the building and to these walls.
Right.
Something goes on. Call it whatever you guys want. Something goes on in this building. It's creepy. I wish I had a better explanation, a better feeling.
I don't know if I would be here alone.
It's not the best of times.
Right.
But it's interesting, and I will say this before we start heading downstairs. One thing these 12, 13 different groups that have investigated all come to agreement with is that there's a spirit or an energy
presence,
of a unit. Everybody picks up on it, and it's friendly, it's hospitable. I'm glad to be here. But everybody says, it's maybe she's lost, maybe she should have somewhere to go. So we've tried that a little bit. But there are some other voices and things that we've recorded. These ghost hunters have picked up that aren't as sweet. There's one or two, disgruntled older guys. One in the hallway above us.
So where do these go to?
So they wrap around. When we walk out, and you might have seen in the original pan around the rotunda, there's some balcony areas, and it's just like a walk all the way around the rotunda out to tracks. Mm-hmm. So this will lead you up to the near side tracks or the far side tracks, depending on what, which way you're going. So if you want to take a walk downstairs.
Okay, yes, absolutely. So tell us, what is downstairs? What are we gonna find?
Yeah. So, people always ask, where do you see you have the most activity, and what goes on where.
Yes.
The restaurant here, obviously, you have the most stuff going on.
Right.
Obviously, I think you have the most foot traffic up here.
Right.
And the most history up here. So,
Yes.
of course, 100 years, you know, I would venture to say hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have walked through this building.
Right.
And we'll see here real soon. We go downstairs. Not too many people had the opportunity to make it downstairs.
Yeah.
You had to be a worker.
Okay.
Or someone involved with the with the rail line. So limited traffic, limited visibility, limited stories, which leads to limited history as far as
because you have more people in the. I get that.
So you try to explain that to folks that come on this tour.
Yeah.
And say, hey, not too many people have seen this.
Right.
It
is so cool though.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit while we're walking toward that. How did you do the research and all of the legwork that went into finding out the history?
Yeah, so it's funny because I was never a huge history buff.
Yeah.
Until I got in this building. I was never big on rail either. I was like, beer and beer and events planning and stuff like that.
Right.
So it just kind of an interesting a lot of reading and a lot of homework. And so we did that, meeting with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And just talking. Yeah. I'll tell you what, one stop before we go down, if it's okay, guys, I want to point out this, and we'll be below this freight elevator very shortly here, okay? When we get to the base of it, I'll point an interesting little tunnel out. So we'll look north towards the lake, and when we do, we'll look underneath 14th Street to the basement of the post office.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so that's how they got mail from the tracks.
Wow.
Down underneath.
And across to the
all done
post
by
office.
design in the 20s.
Wow.
To make it very ergonomic and efficient to get your mail. So that's how your packages and parcels will come in.
Wow.
So interesting. So come along with us here.
Thank you.
So as we're walking, we'll start walking underneath the tracks.
Okay.
And there are 4 trestles you see above us here, guys.
Oh, go ahead.
And
Thank you. This is insane.
so yeah, we'll make some stops along the way
Okay.
here. Some things that I really like. And by the way, this was the luggage tunnel for the station, and we still refer to it as the luggage tunnel. But if you take a look here, some old pieces.
Nice.
So these were 25-foot long waiting benches. They were double-sided, and there were 2 of them that ran through the middle of the rotunda. So those are original.
It's hard to imagine,
I know, and if you've ever been in our tap room in our bar area, you'll see those. Those are our booths right now.
Oh.
But this one never made the rehab of the building in the 90s when it happened, so we're really happy to have those preserved. This sits down here as kind of a relic and a reminder of the great history of the building and some of the stuff. So, when you look around here, you can around, there are old safes.
Yeah.
There are old light fixtures, marble, wood, pieces of furniture that just never made the original rehab.
So when you were rehabbing and even when you still are, designing the restaurant, was all of that stuff down here and then you pulled it up, or what?
No, a lot of the stuff was right here. Like I said, we call it the graveyard of the building. So things that, things that were just kind of laying around and ended up here, didn't have a real home.
An old rocker,
But we feel, it's kind of like the museum for the building. And,
exactly.
we have a YouTube video out for commercial. We have that thing rocking.
I was gonna say, has that ever?
In my mind, someday it's gonna. I walk down here before you guys get here, or before we and after we do a tour, just to button things up.
Yeah.
You walk by here, and sometimes the lights are on, sometimes they're off, and leaving. But I'm just waiting for one.
One of these days it's gonna be.
Because motion's a big thing. I like to push things. We'll point out something downstairs.
Okay.
So interesting how things work around here.
Yes.
We'll keep walking. You see old ticket windows over here to the left. Again, that never really made the rehab. Again, some more furniture and we got some marble.
I bet this is so creepy when you're actually doing the tours and it's late and it's cold.
It's a lot of fun.
Right.
Again, mixing history with some of the urban legends and stuff is pretty neat. So, surrounded, we should stop the group right here for a little bit and point out a few interesting things. So, we just walked by an old luggage cart. Okay.
Oh, it's a luggage cart.
Now, I don't know if you folks got in any of the shots upstairs. You might have seen two of these carts in the rotunda. They're a little bit lighter, a little bit lower, less substantial. The significance of those two are that they're from Union Depot, which dated from 1865 to 1927. It kind of ran. That's how rail came and went. This was built to replace that.
Okay.
So those are old.
Wow.
Those are from the depot, well over 100 years old, 100 to 130-year-old luggage cars. So this one in particular, and the two up in our beer garden, which we won't have time in the video to go check out. The significance of these, and a couple more that we have in another area of the building, are that they were the first electrical luggage carts in the country.
Wow!
So not only was this like a state-of-the-art station and very grand,
Yeah.
Art Deco, it was just a real gem for the city, and a feather in our cap. We had, state-of-the-art technology. Now, I know most people out there are like, oh, electrical luggage cart, no big deal, right? For the poor guy pulling that around
Yes.
40 hours a week with probably like 800 pounds of luggage on it, electrical cart was a big deal, guys.
Can you believe that? Yeah.
So those just came from the track side above us, and we walk by all these little inlets with elevator shafts that go up the tracks. We just drop them down here and pull them right out to the street side, or curbside. So that's how they did that. So interesting stuff, and we're just glad that they have a good home. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's very cool.
Absolutely. I think that also speaks to Erie's history, like as a like how grand the station is.
Yes.
I mean, its history, its place in history, just in general,
Yeah.
like when it comes to rail,
Yeah.
is huge.
So there's a lot attached to it, and we'll move forward here shortly. But
Yeah,
you say what's attached to the walls and what goes on in this building. We've had a lot of really notable people come through here. If you were traveling and you were an entertainer or a politician, sports figure, whatever, you were not taking a plane or
Right.
a bus in the 20s.
Yes.
The automobile just had been out.
Yeah.
The Model T, I believe, came out, but nobody could afford it.
Right.
So if you were traveling, Babe Ruth came through the old tracks, and FDR came through, and President Truman, most notably, and this is the one that people ask, what goes on here. Soldiers, Second World War, ton. So we have a lot of pictures and images and articles of guys in uniform coming and going. So kind of interesting. What's attached. So we'll keep walking here, guys. We got some ground to cover. So as we pass, you'll see some of the inlets off to my left and the screen on the right here. Those are just the bases of those freight elevators.
And I bet too, it's like colder down here, so people
It's
probably,
always cool, yeah.
yes, so it's kind of like you get that like ghosty feel, or I don't know,
Yeah.
like
It gets chilly down
yes,
here. We're always,
absolutely. Even though it's really just because you're underground, but
yeah. So good luck going down the steps here, guys.
we don't want you to end up like Clara, Chris. Was not.
So Chris, our cameraman, is going up telling ghost stories about you.
I know, exactly.
So as we go down, we're going down the second level here, and there are 3 levels to the station. And we'll point out, I'm going to show you guys, right behind us here, this is the base of that freight elevator. Then we walked in the first floor. So this is the bottom of the shaft. And then as we look over north, that's underneath 14th Street and in the basement of the post office. So I don't know if you guys can tell on your screens if, depending on what size screen you have, how close we get. But, it kind of has that optical illusion. It looks like it's getting really small, like something out of Alice in Wonderland as you approach it. I promise it's symmetrical all the way down. It just looks like a train. So you can do some fun photo tricks with that.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's an echo. It's kind of
that's
crazy.
great.
So.
This is like what under a street looks like.
Yeah, and this is the only one in town. There's lots of them. It's a labyrinth. We're just in one tunnel that left the building. Okay, that went south toward I still call it the old Central Mall.
Right.
To date myself. And then heading north here, it leaves the building. Obviously, the post office. Yeah. And that was the mail tunnel. And then there's one more we won't get to. That's over towards Peach Street. Okay. That runs north on Peach towards the lake. It's sealed off now, so you can't get through. But that would have been emergency and utility runs.
Wow.
All the way down to the bayfront.
That's so crazy.
So pretty wild. I'll give you a quick shot, and I don't know how before we head down this hallway and wrap things up. This is a really interesting room.
Oh my god.
And again, people ask, they see this like, oh my god, this is so creepy.
Right.
What kind of great ghost stories do you have down here? And not a ton of ghost stuff down here.
Yeah.
I will tell you, in case we cut out here, guys, and we might. A couple of the groups that we did have down here early on, all.
Okay, so we're back. So that was weird. So tell us what just happened, because that was so
So yeah, that kind of got me a little bit. So we're down the tunnels there, guys, and we're going into one of these rooms. It was just a layover room. Kind of creepy. Hopefully we got that in the shot.
Yeah.
And I was just about to tell Sarah and you folks that when you get down, there's a certain room down there that we've had different investigators go through, several, and when they get in there, and we've had this with guests as well, batteries on their phone go dead, or their camera equipment, or their lighting gets sucked on. Now, I know you said when we went down,
we went down, it was like, okay, it started going down a little bit, and our photographer who's behind the camera kind of gave me a wink or a nod. He's like, okay, we got low battery. So we were kind of speeding through, but then when we got to that room, it went dead, like zero. And then, as long as that break was, that's how long it took to get it back up and running.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So 95% to zero, like, in about 10 minutes.
Oh my gosh. That's so crazy.
It was crazy. So that's kind of stuff that goes on. I wish we were making this up, guys.
I know.
We are not.
I know.
It was just bizarre and kind of gave me the chills when you said my thing went dead. As I'm telling a story. As I'm telling a story about that. So interesting stuff. And you guys just saw a little snippet of a 2-hour tour that goes on. Again, make sure you check us out for halfway to Halloween, as that'll be coming up, and those will sell out as well.
All right. Thanks so much, Chris, and thank you guys at home for sticking with us and for experiencing the bizarre with us. So we'll see you guys later.